On the day of the meeting, I blocked the online dating partner I had been talking about for 3 months. Here's the thing. That day, as I had just finished morning class, I was walking home with a popsicle in my mouth when I heard the faint sound of fighting in the alley on the side of the street. I looked around. Good fellows. A dozen lads were fighting with white faces, and it scared me to death. I shuddered and took out my phone to call the police, but I was targeted by the leading thugs. A second before he pressed me against the wall, I sent an SOS to my online dating partner. As a result, the gangster's cell phone rang. The thug let go of my hand and looked nervously at the message he had just received. Actually, I wasn't sure at that moment, until I saw him turn his back and send a voice in an extremely gentle voice. Baby, are you in trouble? Tell me where you are, and I'll go and save you right away. I secretly opened Weshit and converted the voice I had just received into text. The calf is finished, and the score is exactly the same. Who can tell me? Oh God. Why is my knowledgeable, gentle, polite, gentleman, careful, and everyday online dating partner actually a gangster behind his back? After all, it was a mistake. Why didn't your sister-in-law reply? Is she in danger? What should I do? What should I do? More Isaac scurries between a group of younger brothers like a fried rooster. Yes, if he hadn't lied to me, the thug's name would have been More Isaac. Whoever dares to touch my woman, blow him with the head. I lifted my eyelids at More Isaac's swearing, and looked at him secretly. Silver gray highlights, odd-shaped studs, ripped jeans, and tattoos on the arms that don't look like they're anything. Proper bad boy. Daba. Brother, what if there's something urgent? Why don't you call your sister-in-law directly? More Isaac gave the little brother an approving look and pulled out his phone to dial my number. Oh, no, never roll over. So I quickly sent another message, and I saw More Isaac's face instantly turn black to the bottom of the pot. Your sister-in-law said that our love is in crisis. What do you mean by that? More Isaac grinded his back molars and patted the shoulder of the little brother next to him and asked viciously, This can at least show that our sister-in-law is not in danger. Yes, it's okay if she's fine. Women, they all love to be petty. I'll coax her later. I'll definitely. It. More Isaac didn't finish muttering before he received the next message. Let's break up. There was silence in the air. Until, boss, why are you crying? Who cried? I'm blinded by the wind and sand. More Isaac slapped his little brother's hand away from the tissue and sniffed frantically. As soon as I turned my head, good guy, my eyes were red. No, I still have to call your sister-in-law. Maybe her phone was robbed by someone else, and she definitely didn't send it. It's over. My eyes were rolling and I was frantically wondering how it should end. So a second before More Isaac made the call, he received another message on Weshit. I'm in class. Let's not talk about it. I'll see you at the Sunset Cafe at 7 o'clock tonight. More Isaac breathed a sigh of relief, left his little brother beside him, and stepped onto the windy motorcycle on the side of the road. I'm going back to get ready for the evening date, and the group of people have learned a pretty good lesson, so you can do it yourself. With that, he gave me another meaningful look. We're not bad people, and we don't bully little girls. The group of people we beat just now robbed students all day long to collect protection money. We call it the way of heaven. Understand? I nodded like a chicken pecking rice. I looked at More Isaac's back as he walked away, and let out a long sigh of relief. By tonight at the latest. No matter what method is taken, you must break off with this bully. 7 p.m. Sunset Cafe. I hid behind the cash register with my cat hunched over, Doggy watching More Isaac's every move. Yes, I work here. It is impossible to be face-based. He is such a grumpy person. Let him go back to the pigeon, and he will definitely be able to break up. This kid is quite positive. And he came at 6:30. Somehow, his hair had been turned black, obediently resting on his forehead, and the studs on his ears had long since disappeared without a trace. A white shirt, black suit pants, and the buttons of the shirt were still tied to the last one. If I hadn't witnessed his evil deeds, I would definitely have thought that he was a sunny and upright young man, a scheming man. I was complaining in my heart, but I was suddenly pushed outside by my boss. Little sister, there are not enough people to order. I'm staring here. You go over and help. Before I could react, I was stuffed with a menu by my boss. I sighed, lowered the brim of my staff hat, and walked quickly past More Isaac with my head down. Stop. His voice was more terrifying than a demon in that moment. I stood there as if I had been immobilized, letting More Isaac look me from top to bottom. You're the girl who spied on our fight this morning. What do you mean by peeping? So that I look obscene? Okay. I nodded slowly. You're also big. I nodded again. He touched his head and paused to speak. I'm also big. I'm sorry about the morning. My girlfriend will come over later. No, your girlfriend won't come. Don't worry. Senior, I've never seen a senior before. I answered this sentence very kindly, and successfully received an approving smile from More Isaac. Excellent. What's your name? I'll give you a 5-star review later. Again, it is a question of death. What is the name of the heroine of the novel I read at noon today? My name is Stella. I don't need praise. We don't do this in our store. I smiled dryly and quickly smeared the soles of my feet with oil. More Isaac breathed a sigh of relief and looked down at his watch again. It's 7:20. Girlfriend was already 20 minutes late. It's okay, girl. It's normal to be a little late, he muttered to himself, then pulled out a small note from his pocket and began to recite the lines. My dear, we met in a huge network, and this must be a gift from God. We are so speculative and so compatible. Yes, my girl, let's work together for a happy future in the days to come. This is also disgusting. Help. I looked out of my corner and saw a delicate box with a bow tied next to his seat. I actually prepared a gift, which is very attentive. Forget it. I don't dare to accept it if it's gold. It was 8 o'clock, and he finally couldn't hold his breath. I received a message on my phone, and I opened it. How long do you have to be there? My dear, I can't wait to see you. A super cute cat emoji is also attached. I ruthlessly extinguished my phone and decided not to reply a word. It's better to anger him completely, and it's better to let him take the initiative to delete me. It's 9 o'clock. More Isaac had already ordered 3 drinks, and was now lying on the table like a wilted dead dog. Honey, are you stuck in traffic? I'll be waiting for you here. Honey, are you there? Would you like to get back to me? If you're online, you'll deduct 1. It's time. I took out my phone and solemnly typed a small essay. I'm sorry, More Isaac. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I feel that the two of us are still not suitable, so there is no need to meet. Thank you very much for these 3 months, and I wish you to find your true love. Ding dong. More Isaac read it word by word, his face black as the bottom of a pot. He dialed my number, and the phone echoed with a crisp AI voice. Sorry, the call you made was busy. He made persistent efforts and decided to call me directly on Weshit. The bright red exclamation mark in Weshit reminded him that he had been blocked. More Isaac slammed the table hard, startling me at the cash register. Woo woo. Fortunately we broke up. So fierce. I saw that he irritably opened the box and pulled out a delicate milfoil cake. I accidentally mentioned it when I was chatting last week. It is an internet celebrity brand, and every time I buy it, I have to wait in a long line. To be honest, I feel a little guilty, but long pain is better than short pain. Brother, we will not have results. More Isaac picked up the knife, cut a whole chunk, and stuffed it into his mouth. He cried as he ate and blew several tissues. No, brother, don't be so in love. You're a school bully. In the end, there was still more than half left, and he couldn't eat it anymore. So he picked up his coat and pushed open the door and walked away. Finally sent this ancestor away. I let out a long sigh, and suddenly felt a little uncomfortable as I watched his back disappear into the night. Fortunately, it's all over, and we probably won't see each other again in the future. But I didn't expect that the next afternoon, I was forced into a corner by him again. More Isaac's small theater. Isn't it just a love affair? What's the big deal? Everyone has fallen out of love. That's how everybody came over. I didn't cry. Joke. Am I so unproductive? I will never be dating online again. A waste of time. A waste of life. A waste of my precious youth. Tomorrow I'm going to find a new girlfriend for Sai Tianxian. Oh, giving up such an excellent man as me is that she has no eyes. Midnight. Why did she break up with me? She said we are not suitable. Where is it not suitable? I think we're a good fit in every way. Why did she block my number? If you can't get along with each other, do you have to die of old age? If she is not satisfied with me, I can change it. Why can't you give me a chance? Obviously yesterday you called me baby affectionately. Why did you call more Isaac when you broke up? Scumbag. I've got to meet a scumbag. Damn. Why can't I stop crying? How can I explain when I see a bunch of little brothers tomorrow? I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed. Woo woo. My heart hurts. That woman has no heart. Why did she break up with me? This is my first love. I've been talking for 3 months, and I think my parents got married after 2 months of talking, and I have thought about which brand I want to buy for my proposal ring. How can she break it? The next morning, I arrived at school with 2 dark circles under my eyes, and I bumped into a freshman who was falling to the ground like snow. I'm sorry, senior. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Am I that scary? Why are you afraid of me? I simply squatted down and picked it up with him one by one. 1, 2, 3. I paused abruptly, squinting at the resume I had just picked up. The girl in the photo is smiling brightly, and her facial features are very familiar. And I met twice yesterday, so coincidentally. Stella is also in your class. Hey. Her name is Ethel Addison, and she is a member of our class. The junior pushed his glasses and said slowly, is there anyone in the world who looks so similar? I couldn't help but pay attention to it, and found an amazing fact. The phone number on her resume. I called countless times last night. Hey, Ethel Addison. I woke up from a big dream, and felt like I had been tricked like a bitch. I'll take this one. Can you print another one? I clenched my resume tightly in my hand and smiled sadly. Of course it's okay. Senior, have you seen me today? No, senior, I've never seen you. I tapped him on the shoulder and turned away with a smirk. Lie to me like this, but you have to pay the price, baby. End of More Isaac Small Theater. When I woke up in the morning, my right eyelid kept jumping, which made me a little uneasy. After a trance all morning, nothing happened. It wasn't until noon when I was about to go to bed that a stranger on Weshit added me. Her head is like a pink water lily swaying in the water, and I guess it should be a kind middle-aged woman. I clicked through with curiosity, and she sent me a message right away. Hello, is this Ethel Addison from the English department of C University? I want to find a tutor. The student center recommended your Weshit to me, and also told me your general situation. I am very satisfied with your conditions in all aspects. Would you like to tutor my 3rd grade child's English? After saying that, she also added 3 roses to the expression. It's a good thing. I asked the class leader to take my resume to the internship center yesterday, and I found a part-time job today. My skin was unfurled, and I suppressed my excitement and wrote a passage with great reverence. Of course, Auntie, when is it more convenient to go to class? And can you give me a brief introduction to the child's situation? I can prepare for the lesson in advance, or if you want to test my strength. This aunt is quite fast typing, and gave me an answer right away. My child's level of English is probably only 24 letters of English. The class time is 3 times a week, from 5 to 7 p.m., 400 yuan at a time, and we can coordinate the time together, and you can also ask for anything. Well, if I'm not mistaken, there must be 26 letters. It seems that this aunt's English level is not very good, but for the sake of such a high salary, I declare, she is my god. I resisted my excitement and quickly replied respectfully, no problem, Auntie, I don't ask for anything. About 5 minutes later, she sent an electronic contract. Then if it's okay, let's sign a contract. I carefully read the terms of the contract, and the treatment was very good, but the liquidated damages were unusually scary. 10 times the total price of the tutoring. Because I don't like people who give up halfway, and it's only been 3 months, so it wouldn't be good if Ethel Addison ran away halfway. My aunt explained intimately, completely dispelling my doubts. I signed my name on the electronic contract in a dashing manner, and finally clicked confirm. Good. Ethel Addison, is there time for 5 p.m. today? Our first class can begin. I checked the class schedule, and there was no class in the afternoon, so I agreed. She sent 3 more smiling images along with an address. building 2 of 6 rows of Zingayube villas in Jiang's district. At first glance, he is a rich man. I dressed up carefully, put on a high ponytail, changed into a proper dress, and knocked on the door of the villa punctually. The door opened, and I hurriedly made a 90-degree bow, and said respectfully, "Hello, Auntie, I'm Ethel Addison, and I'm here to give." Before I could finish speaking, a man's sneer sounded above my head. I looked up, and hell yes. Why is it more Isaac, who opens the door? He wore a t-shirt with a skull on it, his hair turned to silver highlights, and his brow furrowed to look particularly fierce. I tried to run, but he grabbed the strap of my bag from behind. "What's the matter, Ethel Addison? You read so well that you want to run now." I turned to look at him in surprise, my eyes wide as brass bells. "You are, Auntie. Who would have thought that a school bully, who kills Matt, who shouts and kills all day long, will actually be called good as water? Won't his conscience hurt? Who hasn't had a trumpet these days? Do you say yes?" More Isaac looked at me lazily, and said in a weird way, "I suspect he's insinuating me, because, when I first added More Isaac, I used the trumpet. You seem to be afraid of me." More Isaac was like a toothy pup, pushing me into the corner of the hallway, step by step. Why should I be afraid of you?" I tightened my grip on the straps of my bag, and stammered with my head down. "The first time you saw me, your legs were shaking. What were you afraid of? You haven't offended me, have you?" "When? Of course not." I swallowed my saliva and decided that the dead duck would have a hard mouth, and would never drop the vest until the last minute. "And isn't your name Stella? What's the matter? You changed your name urgently last night." How do I answer that? I opened my mouth, and before I could say anything, I was preempted by More Isaac. "Forgive you this time. Don't lie to me next time." It's strange that he was still a little aggrieved when he said this. No, I still have to get away from this place of right and wrong quickly, otherwise it's easy to be exposed. My tutor suddenly assigned me a bunch of tasks. I'm afraid I don't have time to work part-time. I'm really sorry for the trouble. Ethel Addison wants to terminate the contract. Okay, let's pay 10 times the penalty first. He lifted his eyelids and slowly pulled out his phone. Damn it, I forgot about it. I thought about the unpaid rent this month and the expensive textbook fee for the next month, and I was about to vomit a mouthful of blood. We were in a stalemate when a little girl, with a double ponytail, suddenly ran out of the house. "Brother, is this my sister-in-law? Are all kids so straight now?" "No, it's your English teacher." More Isaac rubbed the little girl's head, and pushed her in front of me. "This is my sister, who doesn't learn English and counts down. Clara Isaac, you watch and teach. Trouble, who doesn't learn anything. I'm in the top 20 in English. Then there are only 20 people in your class. Why don't you say it?" More Isaac glared at her hatefully, and led us to the study. "Forget it, it's all here, and if you come, you can be safe." Clara Isaac and I sat head to head in the comfortable sofa chair, and read the handouts I had prepared in advance. "Ethel Addison, you're so pretty. I like you so much. Can you be my sister-in-law?" I almost vomited a mouthful of old blood. Your brother is very good, but not my type. And what do you like?" I thought about it seriously for a moment. "Good-tempered, gentle. Then my brother really doesn't meet the standards." Clara Isaac sighed in disappointment. "Although my brother has a bad temper, he can do everything. Like my hair is combed by my brother. His cooking is also very delicious. And this fruit bowl is also made by my brother. And my brother is the best for me." I raised an eyebrow in surprise. Can't imagine that More Isaac still has this side. "Don't say it. This braid is really good." And a few thin braids are tied with colored leather bands in the middle of the symmetrical double ponytail, which looks playful and cute. It was actually made by More Isaac. All right, let's stop chatting. Let's start studying quickly." I retracted my thoughts and began to patiently start with the basics. Before you know it, it's 7 o'clock. More Isaac knocked on the door, leaning lazily against the edge of the doorframe. "Is Ethel Addison teaching well?" he asked Clara Isaac, but his eyes were fixed on me, which made me feel furious. "Very good. I've learned it all, and I'm more patient than you." Clara Isaac jumped up to More Isaac like a duckling and grabbed his arm. "Brother, I'm hungry. Can I eat? You think of me when you're hungry. More Isaac rubbed her head and looked at me again. Let's eat some with Ethel Addison. I've made a lot. No, no, I'm not hungry. I don't eat at night. Before I could finish speaking, my stomach gurgled. Alas, the society died. Let's eat some Ethel Addison. The province is starving to death on the way home. More Isaac's broken mouth. In the end, I was pulled to the table by Clara Isaac. The table is full of color, fragrance and color. My adoration for More Isaac has added another layer to my heart. He has a tattooed arm and a good braid. He can afford to hold a stick and go down to the kitchen. Yes, I still can't afford to mess with it. After dinner, I consciously cleaned up the dishes in the kitchen with More Isaac while Clara Isaac watched TV in the living room. I'm curious. Why don't you hire a babysitter? I didn't even notice it myself. I didn't seem to be so afraid of him, and I would take the initiative to talk to him. More Isaac paused, glanced in the direction of the living room, and lowered his voice. The aunt I hired before wasn't a good thing. She used to bully Clara Isaac when we weren't there, and then our family didn't hire a nanny anymore. But I found a part-time job to clean up or something when I was at home. I see. I glanced at the carefree little girl in the living room, and suddenly felt very uncomfortable. Clara Isaac is smart and a quick learner, and I'll teach her well. Well, thank you then. More Isaac smiled and took the chopsticks from my hand. Go to the living room and rest. I'll take you home later. No, I can walk on my own. I hurriedly waved my hand and refused. Yes, let's go. But have you heard the news lately? There's a pervert who kidnaps a little girl like you at night, who isn't very smart, and it seems that he hasn't caught it yet. Let's go. There are no buses here at night, and taxis are not easy to get, so you can walk. Goodbye. Oh, you and I. Ethel Addison was scared. I bravely straddled my bag and left More Isaac's house, took 2 steps, and then paused. Woo-woo. No, I'm still afraid. Little coward. Stop the ink. Get in the car. More Isaac caught up with me from behind, and threw me a helmet. The back seat of my motorcycle was supposed to be only for my girlfriend, but we broke up before we even met. He sighed in the night. As the culprit, I am even more empty-hearted. For the sake of your serious teaching today, I'll make an exception for you, Ethel Addison. More Isaac put on his helmet, rolled over and stepped onto the motorcycle, and threw me another coat. Do you still wear long sleeves in the summer? Is it hot, Ethel Addison? It's windy on the road, so make do with this. At that moment, the street lights in the neighborhood were all lit up. It's weird. My heart is racing. More Isaac drove me down the empty road, and the night scene on both sides was rapidly receding, and I couldn't help but tentatively reach out and grab the corner of his clothes. If you want to take advantage of me, just say it. Don't be sneaky. More Isaac smiled, wrapped my free hand around his waist, and slowed down again. Also, you have to say what you're thinking, or others won't know, he said to himself, his voice drifting far away in the night wind. I lowered my eyes. Really? Could it be that easy? Ethel Addison, you studied so well. You must have been a good child, since you were a child. I nodded subconsciously, and realized that More Isaac couldn't see, and hummed softly. Then your parents must like you. Well, my mom was very kind to me. She used to pick me up from school when I was younger, and she would cook me food. I sniffed and said slowly, Clara Isaac, if only you were half sensible, like a leather monkey, every day without worrying about me. More Isaac sighed, quite like a weathered male mother, and actually a little cute. Clara Isaac told me today that she likes you the most, which means that you are a good brother. Harm. Our parents are unreliable. They only know how to make money. I don't care about her anymore, and she'll be finished. His tone was sarcastic, but his voice was a little bitter. It was tacit that we didn't continue the topic afterwards because it would obviously be unpleasant. It's 20 minutes away, and it's actually a very fast walk. More Isaac sent me downstairs, and lowered down to help me unbuckle my helmet. His facial features were wide in my pupils, and the warm breath hit the tip of my nose, making my face inexplicably hot. Hey, Ethel Addison, why are you so stupid? Ha ha ha. You didn't know. 2 big eyes just now. I took a deep breath. If I am tempted by this bitch, I will be a fool. I hatefully took off my coat, and gave it back to him, and turned around and went into the hallway without looking back. Ethel Addison, see you tomorrow. More. Isaac leaned back on his bike and honked his hand around his mouth. Nerds. The corners of my mouth curled up involuntarily as I ascended the steps, but I froze in place the moment I opened the door. Daddy, Daddy. The man holding the bottle looked at me with a confused look in his eyes, then stood up and approached me step by step. Ethel Addison, you're not good. He burped and grabbed me by the hair. Like your mother, hooking up with men so late. He raised his hand, revealing the hideous green dragon tattoo on his arm. I closed my eyes in despair and held my head up in the face of the fists and pain I was accustomed to. The ears were buzzing, and the last conversation with Mom 10 years ago echoed in the mind amid the man's rude swearing. Ethel Addison, Mommy is leaving. Let Mom go. Mom, can you take Ethel Addison with you? I don't want to leave my mother. As a child, I tugged at the corner of my mother's clothes and cried with tears all over my face. Ethel Addison, I'm sorry. Mommy can't run away with you. And you're his own daughter. He won't do anything to you. Don't you love your mother? Can you bear to watch your mother die? No, Mom can't die. Mom, go quickly, get some more money, and live a good life in the future. I cried and shook my head, let go of my mother's hand, and pushed her out the door again. Mom, goodbye. Mom wiped her face, pushed her suitcase and walked a few steps, then turned around and hugged me tightly. Ethel Addison, listen to your mother. You must not find this kind of indiscriminate man in the future. Do you hear clearly? Otherwise, you will be your mother's current fate. You must remember. Be sure to remember me. I lay on the cold floor and pulled out a white laugh. More. Isaac, I'm sorry. I'm too timid to have the courage to like you. 6. More. Isaac. Perspective. The moment I found out that I had been tricked by Ethel Addison, countless ways to get revenge on her instantly came to my mind. But when I actually started to implement it, I found that I was reluctant to do any of it, and when I couldn't sleep at night, I reviewed the whole process of my vest dropping. The first time we met, I pressed the little girl against the wall, and I almost scared people to cry. Besides, what was my kill mat look at the time? Am I still swearing in front of Ethel Addison? The way I bared my teeth and fought must have been seen too. Ethel Addison didn't break up with me, and I didn't agree to it. Alas, I sighed. What can I do? I can only chase the people back again. So I used my clever brain to find a tutor for my sister. Today went well. I showed Ethel Addison my cooking skills, and drove her home on my motorcycle. Ethel Addison put his arm around my waist, and almost got me off the handlebars. When I was downstairs, I bent down to unhelmet her, her features wide in my pupils. How can there be such a good-looking little girl in the world as Ethel Addison? The eyes are eyes, and the nose is nose. My face was red, and I had to deliberately make her angry in order not to be discovered. She looks better when she's angry. Wearing the coat worn by Ethel Addison, I felt like I was about to float on the way home. I tried my best to restrain the upturned corners of my mouth and opened the door in a pretended deep manner. I'm still watching TV. What time is it? Hurry up and wash me up, and go to bed. I glared at Clara Isaac, and carried her to the bathroom like a chick. Ancestor, did you ask the question you asked today? I squeezed Clara Isaac out of her strawberry-flavored toothpaste, and pretended to ask casually, what's the problem? That's it, you Ethel Addison. What type of boy do you Ethel Addison like? You kid won't forget to ask, will you? I snapped her and asked in disgust. I don't like you being grumpy and rude anyway, Clara Isaac said with a smug look on her face, clutching her head. Speak well, and you can watch TV for half an hour tomorrow. Dear brother, of course they have asked carefully, and Sister Ethel Addison says that she likes good-natured and gentle people, which is the opposite of her brother. Okay, I know, go to bed. You're going to have a power outage tomorrow. Brother liars. What about the extended time spent watching TV? Yes, my brother will do what he says, and he will definitely give you an extension. I gently touched Clara Isaac's head. Tomorrow the TV will always be here, but there is no electricity. You can watch it for as long as you want, and you can watch it 360 degrees. I closed the door with the roar of Clara Isaac, and slipped under the covers to type a sentence into the search box. How to be a gentle boy. The next day, sneeze, Sneeze, sneeze. Patty Arthur, who was sitting next to me, sneezed several times, but it made me sick. No, more Isaac. You've got perfume, haven't you? What brand of brother? Why is the taste so rushed? The name of this perfume is Deadly Tender. I lifted my eyelids and glanced at him. How? Is it gentle enough? I don't know if it's gentle or gentle. It's deadly anyway, Patty Arthur said, covering her nose. I kicked him in anger and drove him away. Patty Arthur is so stupid that he deserves not to fall in love. I bought a bouquet of pink and white roses, dressed like a dog, and waited early for Ethel Edison's teaching building. I inquired about her class schedule, and she was out of class in 10 minutes. Oh, I'm so nervous. What should I say in the first sentence? Anyway, let's admit my mistake to her first, and then confess to her what I think in my heart, and then, if all goes well, ask her if she'd like to give me another chance. We are officially dealing with objects. I was so caught up in my fantasies that I looked up again to see Ethel Addison walking towards me in the crowd. It's weird. I can find her at a glance no matter where I am. Ahem. I cleared my throat and was about to give the flowers out, but Ethel Addison got the first place. More Isaac. Are you so interesting? Hey, why is it different from what I expected? Ethel Addison, what's going on? I don't understand. I've got it all. More Isaac. You got my resume from the class president before. You should have found out that I was your online dating partner. Yes, I admit it, but more Isaac. You don't need to take revenge on me in this way. It was wrong for me to release your pigeons before, but it is true that I want to break up with you. We are not suitable. I'm sorry if you bother, Ethel Addison said expressionlessly, his voice cold without a hint of warmth. No, it's not like that. You listen to me. I was so anxious that my forehead was sweating, and I wanted to tell her that it was all a misunderstanding. I'm sorry. I can't teach Clara Isaac anymore. She is very smart and can find a lot of teachers who are more suitable than me. As for liquidated damages, I will give you slowly. Later. She paused, her voice trembling a little. Let's not see each other again. The pink rose in my hand fell to the ground, and I looked at Ethel Edison's back without looking back, and suddenly felt like a piece of my heart was missing. At that moment, it was incredibly clear to me that she would never like the real me. I came home in a daze, and just as I was about to get into my room and Mo alone, I was grabbed by Clara Isaac by the corner of my clothes. Brother, are you crying? Clara Isaac looked at me, with her little head held high, with a worried expression. I sniffled and turned on the TV for her. Watch the cartoon yourself, and I'll cook for you later. I went back to my room, covered myself in the quilt and bit the corners of the quilt and cried. I know it's unproductive and unmanly, but I'm just so sad. It is said that first love is a faint sadness, but why is it the same as asking for my life? I was crying, when Clara Isaac burst in and lifted my covers. Brother, your eyes are as red as the white rabbit now. It's so annoying. Can't you just let me be alone for a while? I glanced at her, didn't speak, and rolled over. Brother, don't cry. I'll give you my favorite doll, and you can sleep with it. I looked at the stuffed rat that Clara Isaac had stuffed into my arms, and suddenly had a big head. Who wants to sleep with a mouse? If I could, I would like to hug a fart, and hug a hammer when they all break up. I was even more sad, tears streaming like a faucet. Oh brother, don't cry. It's normal to break up. For example, I broke up with our class president last week, and I just had an ice cream meal, and I like the sports committee member of my class now. I couldn't take it anymore, and pinched Clara Isaac's beak, and turned her into a duck. Hold back your words. I'll fall in love in the 3rd grade. I'll be angry if you're angry. Clara Isaac whined and resisted, finally broke free from my confinement, and said with a huff in her back, be kind to donkey liver and lungs. You are so rude. Or Ethel Addison is good to me. When is Ethel Addison coming to teach me? Ethel Addison. I want to cry when I hear the word Addison right now. Ethel Addison won't be here in the future. I'll arrange a new teacher for you next week. Clara Isaac sighed in disappointment and pulled another tube of ointment out of her pocket. I'd like to give this to Ethel Addison. I glanced at it, and it was blood activating. What for Ethel Addison? The last time I washed my hands with Ethel Addison during the meal, I saw a lot of bruises on her arms. This medicine works best. You can see her one day, and help me give it to her. Are you sure? You see clearly? I frowned, and suddenly something was wrong. Clara Isaac nodded. I didn't even notice what I saw in the mirror, and I'm going to surprise her with the medicine next time. Somehow, I suddenly felt a little uneasy. Clara Isaac, my brother is going out. Can you make it at home by yourself? Clara Isaac nodded and took my hand again. If someone bullies my sister, you must avenge her. I nodded, rubbed her head again, and got on my motorcycle, and ran to Ethel Edison's neighborhood. I hope my worries are unfounded. Otherwise, I don't really know what I'd do. 7. Ethel Edison's perspective. During the morning class, the class leader stopped me for the first time. Ethel Addison, did you have a misunderstanding with Moore Isaac? He didn't bother you later, did he? I was a little confused, but I gradually understood everything in his explanation. It turned out that it was no accident that Moore Isaac hired me as a tutor, and he also knew that I was his previous online dating partner. What does he want to do? Revenge on me? My head was buzzing, but everything was decided at once. Whatever his intentions, I can't get involved with him. I was about to go to Moore Isaac to make it clear, but the moment I walked out the door, I saw him standing in a sea of people. That bouquet of pink roses is really beautiful, but unfortunately it can't be mine. With such a desperate statement today, Moore Isaac won't come to pester me again. It's good that everything is finally back on track. I will listen to my mother, find a solid and reliable boyfriend, and form a stable family in the future. I wiped away my tears, forced myself to raise the corners of my lips, and walked step by step in the direction of home. I saw Moore Isaac again, as if in a dream. He ran towards me with an anxious face, opened his mouth but said nothing. I've made everything so clear today. Why are you bothering me? It's so strange. My heart hurts so much, but my mouth is not forgiving at all. Ethel Addison, how did you get the wound on your arm? He took a breath and looked at me steadily, clinging to an answer. I frantically put my hands behind my back, my tone getting more and more rushed. I don't understand what you're saying. We've broken up. Don't you show up in front of me? Okay, tell me how you got your injuries, and I'll leave at once. He stepped forward and grabbed my hand to pull up my sleeve. I tried my best to break free of Moore Isaac's grasp, and when I pushed him, I accidentally hit him in the face. He tilted his head for a few seconds, then picked me up again, and walked to the pavilion next to me. What are you doing? I'm telling you. Do you know we've broken up? Yes, I know, he replied to himself, and hugged me tighter. Moore Isaac, I hate you. I hate everything about you. You can hate me, Ethel Addison, and it doesn't matter if you hate me. He put me on a stone bench, and stroked my hair again. I just hope you're okay, and not being bullied. Tell me, Ethel Addison, where did your injuries come about? He crouched down and looked me in the eye. His pupils were dark, but only my shadow was reflected. My eyes were hot, and I opened my mouth to say something, but I stiffened to the point when I saw someone standing not far away. Ethel Addison, what are you doing here so late? Let's go home with Dad. Dad was carrying a basket of fish that I love to eat, and he was smiling kindly. Moore Isaac stood up crampedly, bowing his head and calling out to his uncle. Dad just looked at him lightly, didn't say anything, took my hand and walked home. The door slammed shut. The bruises on my arms began to ache again, and I was about to say something when my father pushed me to the ground. He drank again. Ethel Addison, Dad just told you yesterday to stay away from that indiscriminate person. Why are you just disobedient? Dad, Moore Isaac is a good person. He's not. You think he's Before I could finish speaking, I was choked by the neck. Do you want to be like your mother? Do you want to leave your father? Dad worked so hard for you to go to college, and that's how you repay Dad. The man's hysterical curses echoed in my ears, and I was choked out of breath, and a white light began to appear in front of my eyes. Ethel Addison, you're not good behaved. That's why Dad is going to punish you. You must remember next time. The chopsticks on the table were all smashed to the ground and crackled, and Dad grabbed the stool next to me out of control and was about to smash it on my head. Between life and death, suddenly someone started kicking the door of my house fiercely. Ethel Addison, are you in there? If you don't answer, I'll call the police. It's more Isaac. I picked up the porcelain bowl on the floor, smashed it on my father's head with all my might, staggered to my feet, and quickly opened the security door. Don't be afraid, Ethel Addison. More Isaac looked at me in disarray, his voice trembling, and resolutely stood in front of me. What kind of skill is it to beat my daughter? It's kind of coming at me. Hey, it's really interesting. Lao Tzu wasn't a fool back then. Dad moved his wrist and pounced on more Isaac, and the two scuffled together. And this chaotic farce ended the moment the police car arrived. Comrade policeman, you must find out. I was staying at home with my daughter, and this young man came and kicked in our door, trespassed, and beat me like that. In the interrogation room, Dad's whine woke up for the most part, and he began to reverse black and white. Yes, I hit you. Don't let me see you again, or I'll kill you. All right, silence. The officer scolded the two and turned his gaze back to me. Ethel Addison, you were also at the scene at the time. Because there was no surveillance, we don't know the real situation at the moment. Do you have anything to say? I lowered my head, took a deep breath, and pulled out my phone again. This app is connected to the surveillance of my house, and I can see what just happened, in the folder, and the previous video. Comrade policeman, please save me. I looked up, tears streaming down my eyes, and the boulder in my heart finally fell to the ground. When I was very young, I thought all the kids were going to be beaten, so after every beating, I would silently reflect on my shortcomings, and make up my mind not to make my father angry again. But later, I realized that my father sometimes beat me without a reason. I am the only one who wears long-sleeve clothes in the summer to cover up the scars on my arms. At that time, I didn't understand it, and I didn't dare to think about it. As I grew older, I began to understand that everyone has the right to body and health, and that abusing family members and intentionally harming others are crimes. As an adult, I've always wanted to call the police, but I can't bear it every time. I got so little love, and every time I wanted to escape this nightmare, I always remembered the few kindnesses my dad had for me. When he's not drinking, he's a good dad and my only relative. He would cook my favorite dishes, and wait for me to come home late at night with the lights on. I really don't understand why after drinking, he completely changed as a person. His kindness to me is real, and the damage he has done to me is real. Every time he hit me, he would cry and apologize to me, telling me over and over again that I was his dearest daughter in the world. But there is no harm in the world in the name of love, even if he is your dearest relative whose blood is thicker than water. I should have woken up a long time ago. It was more Isaac who gave me courage. It's time to move forward. Ethel Addison, Ethel Addison, how can you do this to your father? You have no conscience. You have no conscience. The moment I watched my father be handcuffed and escorted away, I felt like I had been drained of all my strength, and I was dizzy, and I fell straight backwards, but fell into a warm embrace. Ethel Addison, you didn't do anything wrong. It's someone else who did the wrong thing. Shall we go to the doctor now? I nodded vigorously and lost consciousness in more Isaac's arms. The next time I wake up, I think I should have the courage to tell more Isaac that I like him too. That's nice. When I opened my eyes again, the first thing I saw was the white ceiling of the hospital. Then, there was the man who lay down in front of my bed and slept lightly. I moved my fingers to touch the top of his hair, but accidentally woke him up. Ethel Addison, are you awake? Does the wound hurt? More Isaac's eyes were a little red, and he asked me with a concerned expression. I shook my head, and was about to say something to him, when I saw him sprang up from the stool like a monkey with its tail stepped on. Ethel Addison, wait for me, I'll be right back. More Isaac ran away like a gust of wind, leaving me and the caregiver staring at each other. When I began to wonder if he wanted to give up, he finally came back with a bouquet of pink roses that looked as good as that day. I wanted to give it to you that day, and I want to tell you, Ethel Addison, will you listen to me, now? He held the bouquet in front of me, nervously shaking his hands. I took the flower and nodded earnestly. First of all, I dyed my hair back black and the tattoos on my arms were washed off. Ethel Addison, if you don't like anything, I can change it. I shook my head, and was about to say something, but he got ahead of me. Ethel Addison, listen to me first. I'm not in a good mind. I have to say everything I want to say quickly, and forget about it later. I looked at him with a smile and nodded. I know what you're worried about, Ethel Addison. I'm just begging you to give me a chance. I'm not a good student, but More Isaac, have never done anything against the law, and I'll never hurt you. I'm different from him. I know that verbal promises don't work, and I'll make you understand with my actions. I covered my mouth and suppressed the tears that poured out, my heart feeling as fine as a pinprick in my heart. And, Ethel Addison, I want to tell you, in fact, my parents have always been very busy, and after giving birth to 2 of our siblings, they would only throw us to the nanny for the sake of their careers, and even rarely see each other a few times a year. When I was in high school, I was very angry and aggrieved, so I didn't fall into a fight, and I didn't fall into class, and I turned myself into such a bad teenager until now. In the end, just to get more attention from my parents. He paused, then continued, but Ethel Addison, it dawned on me that not everyone in this world is suitable for parenthood. We can't punish ourselves for their mistakes. We have to learn to accept, learn to let go, and learn to love others again. So Ethel Addison, would you like to join me? I'll always remember that summer. The chatter outside the window kept coming, and the sunlight poured in through the window, shining on More Isaac's side face. I sat on the hospital bed with the pink rose in my hand and nodded firmly. The wound in our heart may never go away, but we can do our best to make it bear a beautiful scar with the people we love. Extra. Ethel Addison, have you finished your class? Clara Isaac, you're stupid. I can understand while standing next to me. Why can't you learn? Shut up and get out of the way. Clara Isaac and I yelled in unison, scaring More Isaac into a thrill. Okay, people just want to tell the 2 ancestors that the meal is ready. Come and eat. More Isaac muttered spinelessly, and was thrown out like a dog with a tail between his legs. After dinner, I had just brought the dishes and chopsticks to the kitchen when More Isaac was pushed against the sink counter. Ethel Addison, can you teach me too? What did I teach you? He smiled like a rascal and tapped his lips again. You've been teaching this for days, but I still haven't learned it. My face flushed, and I subconsciously wanted to push him aside. Clara Isaac is still at home. You should be restrained. Don't wave. Then let's go to the movies. Go to the road or go to the small park. Who wants to go with you to the park? Dream. I'm leaving. I couldn't stand More Isaac's slimy energy, so I turned around and walked out of the kitchen. Hey, Ethel Addison, what are you thinking? People just want to go with you to the small park for a walk. Where do you want to? Ethel Addison, are you going to the park? Can you bring me with you? Clara Isaac jumped up from the couch excitedly, and grabbed my hand again. It is said that there is a new merry-go-round in the small park, and it looks good at night, so let's go play together. Of course, let's go now. Completely ignoring More Isaac's blackened face, I took Clara Isaac by the hand, and set off towards the small park. The consequence of offending her boyfriend was that Clara Isaac had a lot of fun on the merry-go-round, while the unlucky me was kissed by More Isaac on the tree behind me. Ethel Addison, I like you. He put his forehead on my shoulder, and said something slimy. Well, I like you too. Those unpleasant past events were also washed away by these trivial pleasures in front of them. Let the story end happily at this moment. The end.